Hi, Hayden here for Play Music Magazine, and welcome to our very first video tutorial. In this new feature for us, we're going to be having lessons and tutorials from myself, from Tim, and possibly other people that'll cover everything from techniques through to tricks, through to exercises, theory, different genres, all kinds of things, all compressed into small, easy to digest lessons. Of course, we'd also love to hear what you'd like to see in a lesson, so more about that at the end. But for today's lesson, we're going to be taking a look at the minor pentatonic scale, the scale that most of us learn as our very first scale, and things we can do with it just to spice it up a little bit. Okay, to begin with, we're going to be using the E minor pentatonic. Now, we are assuming that most of you are going to be familiar with pentatonics, but for those that aren't, it's a 5-note scale, hence penta. And in the key of E, it would be E, G, A, B, and D. They're your 5 notes. And of course, they repeat all the way up to the high E string. And the standard pattern that most of us are familiar with would be 12, 15 on the low E, 12 and 14 on the A, 12 and 14 on the D, 12 and 14 on the G, 12 and 15 on the B string, and 12 and 15 on the high E. Now that's your E minor pentatonic, very straightforward. If you're still a little confused about that, it might be cool to maybe do a little research on this and then come back to the lesson. We're going to take what is actually quite a cliched run from the minor pentatonic and turn it on its head just a little bit. We're not going to step outside the scale in this lesson. All the notes are going to be from the pentatonic, but it's how you use those notes that can really catch people's ears. Anyway, I did say there'd be a cliched run. Here it is. It's a descending run in triplets. Now, I'm pretty sure you'll have heard that run before, but before we move on and change it, let's just break it down a little so everyone's clear where we're going. It does use that exact pentatonic box we discussed just a little earlier, but travels through it using groupings of 3 notes. And the pattern is actually very simple. You'll descend 3 notes, then move up 1 note, which will become the first note of your next 3 notes. For example, we're going to start on the 15th fret of the high E string. We'll go to the 12th fret of the high E string. Then we'll move to the 15th fret of the B string. Now that would be the first 3 notes of our run. And once we've executed those 3 notes, we need to start another 3 notes where we'll move back up 1 note of the scale, going back up to the 12th fret on the high E. And then we'd go to the 15th fret on the B, and then the 12th fret on the B. That would be our next 3 notes. Move back up to the 15th fret on the B, play the 12th, then go to the 14th on the G. That's our next group of 3 notes, and so on. I'll just play through it slowly. Now, I did say we were going to alter this run, but we're actually going to alter it without stepping outside of the scale. We're not going to add any notes to the scale or anything like that. In future lessons on this very subject, we are going to be using things like sweep picking and tapping outside notes and the blue notes and things like that. But for this, I want to take that cliched descending run and make it a lot more interesting to listen to, but stay inside, strictly inside the E minor pentatonic. Now, to do this, let's start off by just looking at the part of the run we did on the E and the B string. It went something like this. And for that one, we're playing G, E, D, and B. Now, what we're going to do, instead of playing the G and the D notes, we're going to choose the next note up from the minor pentatonic scale. So instead of G, it would be an A, which is the 17th fret of the high E. And instead of the D, it would be an E, which is the 17th fret of the B string. Now, this isn't a huge stretch, but it might be a bit of an awkward stretch for some. So if you could warm up before you do this at any kind of speed, that'd be cool, because the last thing we want to do is have anyone tooling up their hands or getting uncomfortable and therefore giving in or anything like that. So warm up and play these really slowly. So just on that E and B string, if we applied the same pattern of that triplet descending run, we would have... Now what's cool there is that wide interval, but also you're playing an E on the 17th fret and an E on the 12th fret of the high E string. And it's the same note, or it would have been if I'd fretted it properly, but that sort of going back and forth creates an almost Doppler effect. So we're going to keep applying that to the rest of this shape. So we'd have the 17th fret and the 12th fret on the high E, the 17th fret and the 12th fret on the B string, but on the G string we'd have the 16th fret, which is the A note, and then the 12th fret. Now you can use your little finger to do this as well, it'd be a little more comfortable, but to get the run in its entirety spot on, it might help if you actually used your ring finger for that. Now again, it is quite a stretch, but it will make the run easier in the long term. So on the G string we'd have 16 and 12. On the D string we would have the G at the 17th and then the D at the 12th. On the A string we'd have the D at the 17th, the A at the 12th, and on the low E string we'd have the A on the 17th and the E at the 12th. So let's play that run through one time slowly. Bear in mind it does make a little more sense if it's a bit quicker, but here it is one time slow. And played a little bit quicker. As you can hear, it gives this almost outside kind of sound, but it's all from within the scale, and it will, in the course of a solo or just as thrown in as a run, it will catch ears a little bit more. And of course you can also put back in those other notes if you want to create some other runs off this. So you could have using the 17th, 15th and 12th. And of course you could put all those notes back in and go all the way down through the pattern for a really, really cool outside sounding 3-note per string run. Obviously that last run was a little more complex than the one we were working on, but I just wanted to show you what, the sort of thing you can do just with simple notes from a very, very simple scale. In future lessons on this topic, we will be looking at how to make runs like that one, including wider stretch runs, bringing in notes from other scales, using things like tapping and even sweep picking, and we'll kind of tie it all together with technique lessons in between. There's also going to be great lessons on many other subjects and from other people too. But what we would like is to hear what you'd like us to show. If there's anything you would like to see a lesson on, if we can do it, we will do it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, hope you got something out of it, and see you next time. Bye bye.